In a human way, it's only right. There you go, the speaker taking an opposite side. It's only right to leave with what we call the right way to leave. Some call it positive, some call it motivational, but the speaker struggles for words that are far too descriptive of the meaning of the word or the word itself, you know. There's only the experience, you see. Whether you share the experience or whether you let the experience pass, you, the sharer, will also pass, you see. The experiencer has to pass. It's not against nature. It's not against your rights, your entitlements. No one fears death. Because deep in our core we know that death is just another moment. Some call it a transcendence. Some call it a stopping and starting. Some call it the next stage. Some say it's beautiful. Some say, I know it's going to happen, but I don't want it to happen. But the fact is, the story will die. Every story dies. We have built-in devices and ways to understand what that person was like, what that form was like, what that one did to either destroy or enhance our lives. But when your story passes, all these past stories from others pass. So there's a point when you say, what's the point, you know? And that's when seeking begins. I want to find out what the point is, what the purpose is, what the meaning is. There has to be something more than this, you see. And when you want more than this, you become unsatisfied with that perfect way of life. You see, you become unsatisfied. It's not that you're denying. It's like anything else. Once you start drinking coffee at 26, you've never drunk it before, and you begin to acquire a taste, and you begin to acquire a certain brand. It's like you've never ever not drunk coffee before. You become used to it, you see. So the mind becomes used to seeking, searching for something more, something other. And I want to tell you how to do it, you know, how to accept life in every single moment, with no judgment, with no valuation, with no need to say I want more of this or less of this. That constant hum. The Buddhist monks, they call it And when you practice it enough, it becomes so beautiful. And unfortunately, we have a breath that creates a pause. But you have to look at things, even the negative, in the positive way. The pause is the way out, you see. Not the way out of this body or the way out of being a human or life. The way out to see yourself for what you really are. So I want to show you, of all the of final sharing, you know, of all the ultimate pure Christ revelational, godly, vocal, mind-blowing, out-of-body experiences that stimulate so much what we call bliss. So there's a little experience that sums up what it's about, you see. There's a moment in your life, you may not have recognized it, you may recognize it every day. It sets the journey off for looking for this point, you know. And it's called a longing. Something inside longs, you know. You know when your partner walks away from home for a long time and you miss him or her so much, so much, that you long just to see them again, just to hug them. But this longing is far more purer than that, you see. So you'll know it. And once it's installed inside you, and like that coffee, it begins to, you know, settle down and find its true place within your spine, your core, your hara, your heart. It no longer relies on the brain and the head, that head mind, that's headstrong or head weak mind. It just sits away silently, humming to itself. So this longing, what is it, you see? What is it? You see, the mind wants to make up so many examples of what it is. And that's the problem. The mind will say, no, you don't want that true longing. I'll show you examples of longing, like your partner working away from home. That's an example. That's not what this longing is, you see. Nothing mental, constructed or psychological can explain what this longing is. And let me tell you how you know it. How you know it, you see. For all your life you've tried to find, your mind has tried to show you certain things that are examples of this longing. There's a kind of homecoming, you know. Showed you examples, you know. Or build your house, and then when you go away for a few days, you'll long to come home to your house. When your child goes to school for the first day, you sort of long, a different kind of longing, a fearful longing that he's okay or she's okay, and you can't wait to hear about their first experiences when they come home. But this is not the same. One day when I was in the forest, you know, I can speak about it now in the past, but I couldn't speak about it then. There was an I in the forest. There was just something taking place. Something was just revealing itself. Not to me. You see? Me was revealing itself. So that me, and its revelational movement away from what it is, the thought body, the mental constructed, conditioned, programmed me, stands aside. It's like when you're in a tent. You like the tent, you hear the rain on the outside, you hear the pitter-patter, you hear the birds singing, you hear everything. And the moment you walk out, unzip the door and walk out the tent, and it's a beautiful, fresh morning, and you think, wow, it's like you're home. See? I've been bound by this tent, but the tent's been okay. The tent is shielded, it's done its job, it's muffled the world, they're giving you a little bit of solitude and peace, and you have things in the tent, you have diaries to write and books to read, and you open the door and you think, wow, and you breathe in. When I walked into the forest one day, something opened up, you see. No tent. It's like the forest opened up, you see. The whole idea of what it was opened itself up. Not a visible gap, not that kind of opening up. It just said, welcome home. And this longing turned into what we look for. This longing became a belonging. I long to be, and now I be long. Something belonged. It's like all these examples of longing, meeting your child, your parent, your friend, the sunrise, all the little examples of longing to see something really very genuine and true. They all collaborated and merged together and said, welcome home. And of course the belonging doesn't leave you, you see. The state of joy, the Satchit Ananda, the attachment to religion and spirituality, they are just as periods of, types of longing, So they're all masked now. The ego is masked. Rather than the ego doing the masking, the ego has become masked by this truth, this genuinity, this belonging, So I've kind of, throughout the time I've been here, masked words that are really irrelevant. And these words are to put you on some sort of, what do you call it, a goose tail, a Chinese goose tail, I don't know, a fake way of, not with intended, not show you what you are, but to test you. I'm going to follow the poet, and he produces so many romantic words, and it's another example of longing to read the poem, to understand the poem. So everything is revealing itself as the same thing. And the mind can then also make up stories about the belonging. Oh, I belong to the planet, I belong to the forest, and it starts to disintegrate. But the longing, that's ego thoughts, ego states, ego wanting more, wanting to come back into the scene and be part of the job that it does. It masks for all good reasons. So you say, no, this belonging is not to the planet. I mean, what is a planet, This belonging is not to the universe. What is that above us, This belonging is not to the trees and the forest, that's just part of the planet, This belonging is not to my home, to being a human. This belonging is not a soulful belonging. It's not a spiritual belonging. It's not a godly belonging. It is beyond all these imagined states that have flavors of longing, and flavors of belonging. So all I can say is, whatever I am belongs. It has longed to be, and now it belongs. There's no becoming. You see, there's another adventure there. There's another venture. Belonging also could be classed as a venture. The longing is still there before the bee, but now the bee no longer is looking for the pollen. The bee becomes the pollen through its announcement that it's home. Nothing to say, nothing to do after that, you see. You can pretend to take sides of enlightenment or awakening or depression and anxiety. You can pretend to take sides between Buddhism and Vedanta and Sufi, but that's not what it's about, you see. These are just tools, examples of longing. When the longing is over, it's so sweet, It's like the pollen has dissolved, but not completely dissolved. You see, it's like the dew on the grass. It's floating everywhere, you know. It's everywhere like space, you know. And you become the pollen everywhere like space, you know. Anyway, I hope that's much more positive than the leading up to this, because you have to get rid of the stuff, you know. You have to put all your baggage down before you can go truly home. So you cannot leave like this that has supported myself for 7-8 years on YouTube. You cannot leave in a dirty way. You have to leave in a clean way, where everything is cleansed, and it's just great to belong, you know. And I know I'm not this body. I know I'm not this person. I know I'm not this soul, spirit. I am this pollen, this consciousness, that masquerades and veils what we call God, you know, what we call the truth. And I'm not only the consciousness. I am the truth, you see. But what the truth is not for the mind to make of it, you know. The truth just simply is, you see. I remember buying Papa G's book, and the title, I read the title for days before I even opened it. And the title was Truth Is. And I immersed with the title, you see. I immersed with the I, the phallic, stable maple, and S, the flowing, moving, sedulous, and shrouding ruins. And is became one. So that's it, you know. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you, I know you belong. But your mind will want you to belong to certain things, certain, you know, aspects of life, certain states of mind. It wants to, you know, the mind is so vast and has many attributes that each one wants to take you, and you're being split up all over the place, you know. Do you know that feeling? You know, when you're in the middle of the room and 40 people love you, and each one is beckoning you with their arms out, and you don't know which one to go to because they're all strangers. And it's like, leave me alone, you know. But your nature says no. These 40 people must hold something that is going to be vital for my journey home. My journey through this one moment. That one is. Anyway, I love you. Have a great life. And be kind. Be kind to yourself. And when you're kind to yourself, not in that egoistic, all about me way. When you're kind to yourself, when you love yourself, when you go within to yourself and meet yourself, and when you go into the forest, you'll find yourself in the longing, but you'll never not lose yourself again in the belonging. So you belong here, always here, always here. Namaste Om.